I got a bold take for the entire NFL world out there, and you know what? For Raider Nation as well. The Raiders are the best destination for any quarterback hitting free agency or looking for another chance. Maybe that's a trade. Maybe that's a Matthew Stafford. Maybe it's an Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it's a Derek Carr. Whether it's Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, I'll be honest, no matter what the Raiders decide to do this offseason, there's a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position, and I don't have a lot of confidence in any quarterback that's linked to the Raiders. What I have confidence in is this Raiders coaching staff and front office, and that is why this is a great destination, and I can't wait to prove it to y'all. Before I prove it to y'all, though, huge shout-out to our sponsor, Panda Subs. Use code FKC. Spam it down below. 25% off at pandasubs.com. That link's down in the comments, down in the description. If you're trying to bulk up a little bit and get into better shape in the year 2025, Panda Subs, they got you covered. So it's not a secret. The Raiders desperately need a quarterback this offseason. They're going to be moving on from Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. When you pay somebody like Chip Kelly the amount of money they did, they are bringing in a quarterback in free agency, whether it's trade or they're going to sign somebody. And it's not a shocker. Every quarterback under the sun right now has been linked to the Raiders. Look at any Vegas odds out there. The silver and black are top 3 in odds for Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins. It doesn't matter. It's because it's Las Vegas. It's the Las Vegas Raiders, and they know that the Raiders are going to be aggressive and need a quarterback. But I'm here to tell you this, that the Raiders are a great landing spot this offseason for anybody looking for a chance. Now, I want these quarterbacks to see that the Raiders are a great destination, because I think a lot of times people think of the Raiders and they go, oh man, if I was a quarterback, I would never want to go there. I promise you this, and I want people to share this video on Twitter, share this video on Instagram, share it on Facebook, send a text message to somebody. To me, the more and more people that see this, I hope that it does come across to Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, a Russell Wilson, any quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and they go, you know what? I agree with a lot of the things that guy said, and I would love an opportunity, maybe a team-friendly deal, to go play for the Raiders. Seriously, though, hit that subscribe button, share. I know I can be loud, but I know we're a lot louder all together. Let's go to the first reason why I think the Raiders are a great quarterback destination. You get to learn from Tom Brady. And learning from Tom Brady is something that is going to be able to help you now, and it's going to help you for the rest of your entire career, because it's going to make you better. Whether it makes you better from a X's and O's standpoint, maybe it makes you better as a player. And you know what? All the time, people are talking about life after football. Anybody that wants to coach, maybe wants to get involved in football later on down the road, you put, hey, I got to learn underneath Tom Brady on a resume. Every single person looking for a job, looking for somebody, is going to take you based on the fact that you were able to work with somebody like Tom Brady. Also, he's had success with 2 different organizations. He had success in New England, arguably the greatest dynasty of all time, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, but he was able to prove that, you know what? I was able to take what I learned in New England. I was also able to win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, and they got this I'm not effing around type of mentality, and he's clearly heavily involved in what the Raiders are doing. So knowing that he's going to be heavily involved, that means whatever quarterback gets brought in, you're going to be working side by side with Tom Brady. That's a huge, huge selling point, man. Let's go to another reason here of why I think the Raiders are a great quarterback destination. Let's talk about track record, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, I'm scared of XYZ QB because it's an unknown commodity. Any quarterback the Raiders bring in this offseason is risk, and it's an unknown commodity. But what can I rely on? What can I lean back on? Track record. John Spytek's track record of what he's been able to prove in the front office with quarterbacks needs to be looked at. And if I'm a QB, I'm looking at what he's been able to do. He's been great with journeyman quarterbacks, been great with bridge QBs, and no matter what quarterback the Raiders decide to trade or sign in free agency, it's going to be a bridge. You're going to be a little bit of a journeyman quarterback. He was a big reason why Baker Mayfield's the Bucs QB. Think about right now how many people would have said, no, I don't want to go out and get Baker Mayfield because he's an unknown commodity. He just threw for 41 touchdowns last season. I get Sam Darnold as a risk. But what if Sam Darnold turns into the next Baker Mayfield? That's a potential top 10 quarterback. He was also the one that got Brady to go down to Tampa Bay. I get it that they were teammates at Michigan, but Brady if you all remember, was contemplating, New England. He was looking at all these different teams, and then it was kind of random, I thought. He went down to Tampa Bay. It's because of John flipping Spytek. So let's look at Tom Brady's last 4 years in the NFL. Remember when everyone was saying Tom Brady's washed at 40-something years old, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions? Guess what he does the following year? Goes down to Tampa Bay, throws for 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, wins a Super Bowl in 2021, and then I get it. At the end of his career, he was old, and you could tell he was old, but 25 touchdowns and 9 interceptions is still one of the best quarterback seasons the Raiders would have had in a long time. But then let's also go look at what Baker Mayfield was able to do in his last 4 seasons. This past year in Tampa Bay, unbelievable. In 2023, had a much better season. But look at 2022. Look at 2021. If I'm a journeyman quarterback, if I'm hitting the open market, you're telling me I get to go work with John Spytek, Tom Brady, a duo that was able to prove that they're able to help out every quarterback that touches their hands and is able to win a Super Bowl? If that doesn't interest you, well, maybe somebody like Pete Carroll and his track record is going to be able to interest you. Pete Carroll is a professional, and I'm telling you this right now, there is already so many rumblings about how well the Raiders are going to be ran from top to bottom, and because when you bring in somebody like Pete Carroll, it's going to change things. Then you put the mindset of Carroll with the X's and O's standpoint of Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Chip Kelly. That's fun. Carroll is also one of 3 coaches to win a national championship and a Super Bowl. So he can, look at talent in college. You can look at talent at the NFL level. He helped Russell Wilson, a quarterback that was drafted in the 3rd round, get his career going. He also rejuvenated Geno Smith's career when everybody said Geno Smith is washed. Geno Smith's a multi-million-dollar quarterback now. Thank you very much, Pete Carroll. But you know what? I love trivia. And I figured I wanted to do some stuff a little bit different now it's the off season. So I got a question for you. Can you name the other 2 coaches who won a national championship and Super Bowl? And I'm going to give bonus points to people that can name the teams that they're on, because there's only been 3. And Pete Carroll is one of them. The answer at the end of the show. Let's keep it rolling here, though, of what Carroll was able to do for Russell Wilson. And you look at the stats that Wilson has with Pete Carroll. This is 158 games played, 292 touchdowns, 87 interceptions, and a Super Bowl win. Oh, Wilson left Seattle, and everybody thought it was going to be able to work in Denver. Don't get me wrong, Nathaniel Hackett was not great, but neither was Wilson. And you can look at the numbers there on screen. Took a little bit of a step back once he was, not with Pete Carroll. Wilson did get better in Pittsburgh this past season, but still was not nearly as good as what we've seen from Wilson underneath Pete Carroll. And you could also say, it could be the OCs, Mitch. I mean, there was multiple different OCs with Pete Carroll and different OCs with Pittsburgh, different OCs in Denver. The one Russell Wilson, when he has looked his best, it was with, guess who? Somebody by the name of Pete Carroll. But you know what? I didn't want to just look at that. I also wanted to be able to sit back and look at Geno Smith, because Geno Smith is more of that bridge quarterback, and I get it. He's not a free agent right now, but there is at least an opportunity that Geno Smith could end up being a quarterback. And I want to look at Geno before and I want to look at Geno after. So when you look at Geno before, the 6 years before he met Pete Carroll, and then the 5 years after he met Pete Carroll, okay? So I will admit, the 5 years after that, one of those years, Pete was not there, but I still am a believer when you sit down and you talk to Carroll, he can really slow the game down and help you get a lot better. So 6 years for Geno Smith. Look at the numbers. 29 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, and a career record of 12-19. Then he meets Pete Carroll. Completion percentage drastically up. Yards obviously up. Touchdowns to interception ratio, it's not close. A lot of times players need somebody that goes to bat for them, a player that can inspire confidence. And Pete Carroll is somebody that's going to give you a lot of confidence. Let's look at the last 4 years for Geno. And the only thing that I want you to look at is the year 2024, no Pete Carroll. 2023, 2022, 2021, all with Pete Carroll. And I say that because the leaps and bounds of how much better Geno was in those 2 years in 2023 and 2022 compared to the way that he was in 2024, it needs to be noted. And why? It's not always easy to be able to sit down and explain everything, but when you see how much success all these coaches have had with multiple different quarterbacks, with multiple different skill sets, it's just a little bit of a cherry on top of why I think the Raiders are actually a great landing spot for any quarterback out there. So how about this? Go down to the comments section. Who are you hoping is the Raiders quarterback in 2025? Maybe it's your birthday like Marianne. Happy birthday, Marianne. I just lit a whole bunch of candles. Close your eyes right now and make a wish. Who are you hoping is the Raiders quarterback in 2025? My answer after this YouTube ad break. It's Cam Ward for me. To me, this is the number one quarterback that I've wanted. And I know we've talked so much about free agency. It's because free agency is right around the corner. I don't know if Cam's going to be available. Quite frankly, I think the only way you're going to be able to get him is if you trade up. And I don't think it's going to cost nearly as much as what people think to go up and get him. But I'm hoping the Raiders go out and get Cam Ward. However, though, I don't think this is even a top 5 likely option. I know the Raiders are going to sign a quarterback, and then I also believe that they're going to draft one. If you want to see which quarterbacks I think the top 5 QBs are for Chip Kelly and this offense, this video, here's the thumbnail. It's down in the comments. It's in the description of today's show. If you also want to see what the top QBs I think that the Raiders could take, these are not QBs based on how I have them ranked. They are based on the likelihood of joining the silver and black. Offense, Chip Kelly, draft, free agency, both options down in the comments section. It's also why you should subscribe. Let's keep it moving here, though. Speaking of Chip Kelly, you get to work with him. And the amount of different quarterbacks, the amount of different offenses, the mindset that Kelly has is got to be a fun one to work with. Dude just won a national championship with Will Howard. And I don't want to rip on Will Howard at all because there's a chance the Raiders could draft him. But at the same time, I think Will Howard's the worst. Stetson Bennett just won a title too, though. I mean, you're talking about QBs that aren't great NFL QBs, but they're able to go out there and win. And the fact that Kelly was able to make Will Howard look as good as what he did, again, that's a compliment to Chip. But this is somebody that's got head coaching experience, NFL and in college. Got plenty of OC experience with multiple, again, different quarterbacks. But the fact that he's been able to win with dudes like Marcus Mariota to Will Howard to, Nick Foles, I mean, all these different types of QBs. If I'm a quarterback, I go, I don't think it matters what my skill set is. I'm going to be able to get the job done, right? Where, you don't have to worry about a Josh McDaniels and he's got a square peg and he's going to try to fit it into a triangle. Chip Kelly's going to take his offense, he's going to take what you do well, and he's going to put you in the best situation to succeed. You can say what you want about the head coach, Chip Kelly, but the offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, combine that with the head coach, Pete Carroll, combined with Tom Brady and John Spytek. I don't know if there's too many other better comparisons or better regimes out there that aren't named like Andy Reid, Sean McVay, and Shanahan, quite frankly. Let's go to another reason here. Greg Olson. He is a great quarterback coach, and he's the Raiders quarterback coach. He has OC experience, and this isn't somebody that I want drawing up plays, but I'm a believer that smart coaches do smart things. Do you agree with that? I think I would. And I agree that Pete Carroll is a smart coach. I know we bring up the name John Gruden a lot, but John Gruden is a respected coach, not somebody that I want making draft decisions, free agency decisions, or calling plays, but I do think Gruden is a respectable name as a coach and X's and O's and just working with quarterbacks. So Gruden rehired Olson multiple times. Pete Carroll brought in Greg Olson multiple times. Sean McVay brought in Greg Olson in 2022. When you work with quarterbacks like Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith, he is one of the best quarterback coaches in the NFL. So even if you don't love any of the options out there, I don't know how you don't look at this Raiders coaching staff and not show a little bit of confidence in them being able to bring in whoever it is, because I think no matter who they bring in, this quarterback's going to have arguably the best season that they've ever had of their career, unless it's like Russell Wilson or something like that. So before we get into the final 3 points here of why I really do believe Las Vegas is a good destination, sleeper alert here. Panda Subs, y'all are sleeping on them. Maybe it's because you got their sleepy products, but I do want to tell you about a bunch, and I mean a bunch of the products that you can get over at Panda Subs. Go to pandasubs.com, use code FKC for 25% off. If you want to shop all of their products, whether it's protein, to the nootropics, to the sleep aid, to the recovery, right now the products that I use every day, protein, I use the BCAAs. Fat burners actually just ran out. Some are bought. We're going to have to talk. Alex uses the greens over there. Nootropics I use here at work. The sleep aid if I really need a good night's sleep, which I might need tonight because there was a hell of a thunderstorm in Dallas and it kept me up a little bit. Maybe you want some Panda gear. Bottom line, maybe you want to try some of their best sellers. This is a company that I want you to get what works for you, because what works for me, it might not work for you. If you're somebody where you're like, all I need, Mitch, is some motivation to go to the gym, that's why a lot of their best sellers are pre-workout. It's some of the strongest pre-workout I've ever had. I drink a lot of caffeine. You guys probably already know that. I would take a half scoop of that stuff, and it's going to get the job done. If anybody out there spends more than $100 or more, he's going to hook you up. When I say he's a Raiders fan that owns Panda Subs. He's also going to hook you up with that drawstring bag and a shaker as well. They come in a whole bunch of different colors. I don't know which color he's going to give you. I would imagine if you use code FKC, he's not going to give you a red one because their colors are black, white, and red. And I'm not kidding you. I was literally one of the first people. I was like, dude, I need a shaker that's like no red in it. And he makes some that are no red in them at all. They're available. You can get your hands on them. I love Panda, and I think that you guys will too. PandaSubs.com, code FKC for 25% off. Let's keep it moving here. Why, though? If I was a quarterback, okay, I gave you all the reasons from a front office, the coaching standpoint. If I'm coming to the Raiders, though, I want to win right away. The Raiders are going to be aggressive. Pete Carroll's already said that this is going to be an aggressive team. So I would want to go to a team that's got a lot of money. And I would look at a team like the Commanders last season, who had the most money in free agency, had a lot of draft picks, and they were able to make a change quickly. The Raiders can also make a change quickly. You got the second most money, whether you want to look at over the cap or Spytek. Both numbers are very similar. Second most money in salary cap space. Also, off the top of my head right now, based on certain contracts, I think I'd be able to create $10 to $15 to $20 million just moving on from certain players, whether cut, trade, what have you. And these are videos that I will end up doing probably later on this week or next week. But you know they're going to be aggressive. And you know that they have money to be able to build around you. So if I'm sitting there going, all right, well, I want to have the certain pieces around me, they're going to build an offensive line, dude. And that's going to be great for whatever quarterback ends up coming in. Let's go to another reason. You got 10 total draft picks. For the Raiders to have 10 picks and all that money, if I was a brand new quarterback, I would sit there and I would look at all the holes and I'd say, well, if I believe Tom Brady's smart, I think Tom Brady's pretty smart. I think Pete Carroll's pretty smart with football. All right, John Spytek, pretty smart with football. Chip Kelly, pretty smart with football. Patrick Graham, pretty smart with football. Everybody that I just named there were all like, oh yeah, they're pretty smart with football. You're giving them all the money in the world and total draft picks to go out and do their thing. I don't know how you're not fired up about that situation. You got at least one pick in every round. You got 3 picks in round 6, and if it was me, I'm trying to move up into the draft. You got 10 total picks, which gives you a chance to fill depth if you're going out and signing a few big-name guys in free agency. And if you sign a quarterback, you're going to have those 10 picks because you might not have as much money to be able to fill up all those holes. But 5 picks in the top 107, 4 picks in the top 73. These are little details of little building blocks that help you get to that mountain. And that mountain is the Super Bowl. That mountain, though, is also trying to take down Patrick Mahomes, and even though they are not the defending Super Bowl champs anymore, you got to look at what the Philadelphia Eagles did, and you got to go, how can I rebuild that blueprint? You can do it in one off season, and the Raiders have an opportunity. And here is the final reason, and I love this picture, Chugs. If I'm a quarterback, I honestly could say this. Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, if you sign with the Raiders, I think you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. As somebody who has covered this team and has seen the way that the NFL media talks about the Raiders, hell, sees even the way that Raiders fans talk about the Raiders, and I'm not kidding you, if this happens, I honestly think people with Gardner Minshew are going to go, oh, it wasn't Gardner Minshew's fault. It was Luke Getsy's fault. It was the Raiders' fault. And it's why I think that it's all upside, because if any quarterback comes to the Raiders, and let's be honest, because I think everybody knows this deep down, if a quarterback comes to the Raiders and they fail, they're going to go, well, that's just the Raiders being a bad organization. That's just the Raiders. They're a bad franchise. They're bad. It's not the player. It's the Raiders. The quarterback stock, though, is going to rise because no matter what, if you put on your resume that you worked with Tom Brady, Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Chip Kelly, and Greg Olson, it's already been proven by some of the best coaches in the NFL that all those names hold extreme weight, and there's going to be a team that would give you another chance. And then if you win, holy shit, if you win in the AFC West, a division that's got Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and the AFC, nonetheless, that's got all of these great teams. imagine the paycheck that you're going to get on your next deal. Imagine the respect that you're going to get around the league. To me, I look at this Raiders job and I look at it as all upside. And that's really the truth, man. So here is why the Raiders is a great destination for any free agent quarterback, any quarterback looking for a trade, any QB looking for another opportunity. You get the opportunity to learn from Tom Brady. Look at John Spytek's track record with quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, TB12 himself, Pete Carroll's track record with Geno Smith, Russell Wilson. You could also work with Chip Kelly, a great X's and O's guys. You pair that with Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Tom Brady, and then you also throw in a name like Greg Olson, who's been hired by Sean McVay, who's worked with John Gruden, who's also worked with Pete Carroll. You got the second most money in salary cap for free agents. You got 10 total draft picks, and if you don't succeed, people will blame the Raiders, not you. If you win in the AFC West and that division, I'm telling you this right now, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and that is the reason why the Raiders are low-key a great destination for any quarterback out there looking to prove himself for another team. If you made it this far in the video, and you agree that the Raiders are a great spot, I want you to click that like button. It helps us out a lot. Also, I got to tell you our trivia, because here's the thing. Can you name the two other coaches who won a national championship and Super Bowl? One of them is Pete Carroll, USC, and also the Raiders. No, the Seattle Seahawks. Someday, I'm hoping that Pete Carroll is the first to win a natty and 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. The other people are as followed. Jimmy Johnson, one with the U in Dallas, and then Barry Switzer, one with Oklahoma, and also the Dallas Cowboys. If you Googled this answer, you're going to get the wrong answer, because Google, the AI, is dumb. And they said that Jim Harbaugh is the 4th, but they also said Jim Harbaugh won the Super Bowl for the Ravens. AI, Google, very, very wrong. Appreciate everyone tuning in to today's show. If you like the trivia and you want to see more trivia, spam trivia down below. Because, again, for people that make it this far in the video, these are the people that I like to make happy. These are my real ones, and I always love my real ones.